Mount 1. 21. Boo 1. 31. This name points out that Jehovah is the source of salvation, accomplished through Jesus. For this reason we find the Father and the Son spoken of together in connection with salvation. 2. 11-13. 3. 4-6. Salvation is provided by Jehovah through Jesus Christ for all sorts of man. 1-4. 10. He saves them from sin and death. 8. 2. From Babylon the Great. 18. 2, 4. From this world under Satan's control. 17. 16. 1. 13. And from destruction and everlasting death. 7. 14-17. 21. 3, 4. A great crowd is shown at Revelation 7. 9, 10. Attributing salvation to God and to the Lamb. The ransom sacrifice is the basis for salvation, and o textoi acute miritra longo, scales 874 according to the Masoretic text at 1 Chronicles 20. 3. In some cases it appears that copper-bladed saws with stone teeth were used to cut stone. But apparently an abrasive such as emery powder was sometimes put under the cutting edge of a saw having a copper or a bronze blade so as to facilitate the cutting of stone. Persecution of faithful pre-Christian witnesses of Jehovah was so severe at times that some were killed by being sawn asunder. Heb 11. 37, 38. According to tradition, wicked King Manasseh had Isaiah put to death in that extremely painful manner, though the scriptures do not say so. Scales. A number of Hebrew and Greek words are appropriately rendered scales. The expression has various meanings. Animal scales. Flattened, rigid plates forming part of the outer body covering of many fishes and reptiles. The law ruled us ceremonially clean for food everything that has fins and scales in the waters. Water animals lacking such could not be eaten. They were a loathsome thing. Lur 11. 9, 10, 12. 14. 9, 10. Thus scales heb. Sim, plural of kasmiddle.qeseth were one of the easily recognizable signs as to whether a certain fish could be eaten. Though there are 4 types of fish scales, most common actinoid scales with a comb-like edge and cycloid scales with a rounded border. These are arranged in overlapping rows, forming a thin, light, and flexible covering. The same Hebrew word is used in Ezekiel 29. 4, where the Egyptian pharaoh is symbolically described as what seems to be a crocodile. The entire body of the crocodile is covered with strong plates of horn set in its leathery skin. Job 41. 15-17 apparently also refers to the scales as NW, Mr. of the crocodile, in this case using the Hebrew word that is often translated shield. Leviathan. Scales for weighing. A device for weighing objects. The ancients were acquainted with the simple beam scale, or balance. It consisted of a horizontal bar, or beam, pivoted at the center on a peg or cord, and from each end of the beam hung a pan or hook. The object to be weighed was put in one pan or hung on one hook, as with a small bag of money, and the known weights were put on the other side. J 32. 10. Isla 46. 6. GE 23. 15, 16. As 5. 1. See money. During a famine, even food might be measured carefully on a balance. The rider of the black horse described at Revelation 6. 5 held a pair of scales for measuring bread by weight, to personify bad times, when provisions became cruelly expensive. The Expositor's Greek Testament, edited by W. Nicole, 1967, Volume V, p. 390. Jehovah commanded honesty and accuracy in using scales. 19. 35, 36, for a cheating pair of scales was detestable to him. PR 11. 1. 16. 11. S 45. 10 scales could be made inaccurate by having the arms of unequal length, or they could be rendered less sensitive by having the arms relatively short or by making the beam thicker and heavier. At times Israelites used scales fraudulently. 12. 7. 8. 5, and they multiplied the deception by using inaccurate weights, one set for buying and another for selling. PR 20. 23. Weighing scales was spoken of figuratively, as when Job mentioned weighing his adversity on scales. Job 6. 2. The littleness of earthling men was emphasized by saying that they are lighter than an exhalation on the scales. PS 62. 9. And the nations were compared to an insignificant film of dust on the scales from the standpoint of Jehovah, who could, as it were, weigh all the hills in the scales. Issa 40. 12. 15 scales were sometimes used to represent accurate measurement in judgment. Job 31. 6. Dar 5. 27. Scales of armor. A coat of mail might have had scales heb. Casmiddle.sim, plural of casmiddle.qeseth attached to it. These were small metal plates that overlapped and provided a relatively flexible armor plate. 1 to 7.